Hello everyone, am I audible? Hello? Hi guys, am I audible now? Um, can someone confirm if I'm audible at the moment? Perfect, cool. Right, so hello everyone. Good to see all of you here. So I'll start off with a bit about myself. I'm Cypher, as you all already know. I've just joined Gen Zero Guild as of this week, pretty much to focus on the big time stream. I absolutely love the project. I've been a gamer myself for almost 15 plus years. I started off with Unreal Tournament and Quake 3, where I was in the top three in the national circuit for India, where I was in the WCG finalist as well. Just that the person who beat me went and represented India in South Korea at the end of it, but sadly I couldn't make it. But anyways, since then I've moved more into the MMORPG space. I love playing Dota, for example. I love playing Diablo, and now, and given that I'm heavily involved in the blockchain, where I work with 3M Capital, with Nish and Mikey. And Chad and Aaron, who's also a part of the Gen Zero Guild. Yeah, so since then I've been exploring games in the blockchain space, and Big Time is one that caught my attention, and I'll tell you why I love the game, and we'll take it from there. So that's a bit about me. I'll start off with what I had to say about Big Time. So yeah, Big Time, as you can find on the sites as well, it's a multiplayer RPG game. You work with your friends in teams of up to 6 people to conquer dungeons and get loot for yourself. As of now, it's in pre-alpha release, which is the early access bundles. Um, uh, yeah. So as of now, it's in the early access bundles. We are in the gold pass phase at the moment. It starts off with the gold pass, and before I go into the details of the pass, firstly, I love the game, so I'll show you why I love the game. You already saw a bit of the gameplay that I was trying to go through. What I'll do is I'll run you through yeah, 1 second. So I'll start off with a bit of what the game looks like. And based on that, I'll go into the next phase of why I love the game, and we can take it from there. So this is some of the gameplay footage that is already available. Have a look at what it looks like. You already saw some of it. Now, what did you feel about that? That definitely is stunning to me. Um, So that pretty much gives you an overview of what the game looks like, and I hope that impressed you because it certainly did impress me. So I already showed you why I love the game. Now, one of the things that we as 3M at 3M have always focused on is how good the team is. So now let me show you the second reason why I love the game. That comes down to this. Oops. Okay. So most of the information that I'm about to show you is already available on their sites, just that I wanted to sequence it in an order where I could talk you through in a logical way, and that's why I put it up in a few slides. Now, that was the game that you saw. Now, this is the team that's working on it. We have Ari, who's worked on Decentraland, Thor, who's worked on who was a part of Decentraland and Zynga, Matt, who was with Electronic Arts and Epic Games, Ken, who was with DreamWorks, Electronic Arts, and Walt Disney, Brian with Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, Zynga, Aaron, who was with Bitmonster and Epic Games. So as you can see, this is a powerhouse team coming from some of the best gaming and blockchain platforms. So I think this is probably the best combination of great game plus a great team working on it. So I can only see this going up from where it is now. The gameplay that you saw is still in pre-alpha, so you can imagine when the game is fully launched, it's going to be amazing from a graphics perspective. There's already plenty of people. There's servers set up across the world, and a lot of the servers are already running full. And this is in pre-alpha, and you can see the demand already. So when it goes live in about 2.5 months' time, you can only imagine how big it would be by then, with all the feedback they're getting from the players in the pre-alpha and the gold pass, silver pass that's coming up. There's a lot of development that's going to go up in the next 2.5 months, already over the stunning gameplay that you already see. So that was the game. This is the team working on it. Now I'll go into a little bit of specifics of how they have organized the launch of the game. So there's 4 different types of passes that are currently available. The gold pass, which is currently live, this was only available to about 2,000 or 3,000 odd people. I'll come to that in the next slide. So you have the gold pass, which went live on the 19th of April. The silver pass, which is going live on the 17th of May. Jade on the 7th of June. And Ruby on the 21st of June. So these are the various passes that are active. Now, to give you a bit of a hint about the supply of these passes, the gold pass is only available to about 1,000 odd people. Don't look at the rest of the information. It's simply, this is giving you an idea of, they were having early access sales. So on March 1st, for example, they had this sale where all these passes were up for sale. Total supply was about 1,000 passes, of which only 698 were in supply. So they were selling about 290 of them, and they sold about 290 of them, and only 12 were left by the end of the sale. So this is a bit of an idea of how the sales have been progressing. Only the gold pass holders are currently live, so there's only about 1,000 players playing at the moment. Now, the advantage of the gold pass is with only 1,000 people playing, the NFTs, the loot is dropping like crazy. Even people who are 2-3 days old in the game are getting very, very high-end loot and NFTs from the game. Silver Pass will be going live in about May 17th. So that is why I'm trying to hold this session now, where I can show you what the game looks like, show you different aspects of the game, and any of you who are interested, you can start working with me. Nish, I, Red, Chad, all of us will be working together and probably collecting a few silver passes ourselves. And based on that, we can work out a model where we can work together and probably farm as many NFTs and loot as we can. And this is, again, before the game goes live. All the NFTs that you would be collecting now will be live even when the game will be with you even when the game goes live. Some of the in-game content, like the armor, the weapons, might get taken back when the game goes live in about 2.5 months. But until these 2.5 months, you have access to all the gear, all the items, all the timepieces, to use and advance your character in the game as far as you can. And the earlier you get in, the more advanced you can get your character, more NFTs you can farm. Because in the early stages, the NFTs drop like crazy. I'll show you a bit of an example for it as well. Now, this was how the passes are progressing. Now, these are some of the examples of the NFTs that are currently there. You have Sir Brannor's range of NFTs, Sir Lamorak's range of NFTs, Sir Pervical's range of NFTs. Now, all of these are dropping in the game, and these are only exclusive to Gold Pass holders. So for example, I'm currently a Gold Pass holder and I've been farming for the last few days. I can actually show you the NFTs I have as well. Okay, it's not available while I'm in the game. Anyways, I'll get to that shortly. So I already own some of these NFTs, and when the marketplace, etc., go live, I should be able to sell them for whatever value they're worth at that point in time. So this is only exclusive to Gold Pass holders. Similarly, Silver Pass holders will have other NFTs and so on. Now, that talks about we talked about the passes, how they've been distributed, and what is exclusive for the Gold Pass, for example. Now, this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. Now, there's different rarities that we have. You have your commons, your uncommons, your rare. What you're seeing here is pretty much just the uncommons and the rares. So whatever is in white is uncommon, whatever is in blue is rare. You also get legendary NFTs at this stage, but after legendary, you have mythic NFTs and exalted NFTs. Now, these are not going to drop in the early access, so these are going to drop only when the game goes live. So the stronger characters you have at this point, the more timepieces, etc., NFTs that you've collected, this should be able to, this would help you go bigger as the game progresses, and towards the end when the game goes live, you should be in a good enough position to know enough about the game to start farming the mythic or exalted NFTs. Now, let me give you an example of what these NFTs are worth, for example. So I'm going on to the big time page. So this is the game, this is the marketplace. So this is where pretty much you can buy and sell most of their NFTs. Now, I told you about the mythic and the mythic NFTs and the exalted NFTs which are not yet available, right? Now, this is a legendary NFT that is selling for $11,000. Similarly, look at all these legendary NFTs selling for $6,000, $7,000, $11,000. And similarly, in the future, when the mythics, etc., come out, I can only imagine what those will be worth. There are none out at the moment, so I'm not able to see any of it. There are epics here, which are about 1,200. The epics, there's uncommons worth about 370, and so on. So the idea is to keep exploring out in the game, collecting in-game items like weapons and armor, which will help you progress in the game. But in parallel, you're also getting these drops, which are NFTs that you can sell in the marketplace. So this talks about all the various types of NFTs. Now I'll come into the game a bit. Now, this is how the game economy works, where you have each of these characters. There's a concept of space and time. Now, they've pretty much made it quite interesting, where in science you've heard about the concept of space and time, and that's pretty much a dynamic in itself. And that's pretty much what they've tried to bring here, where the first thing that you do is you acquire space. Now, space is pretty much equivalent to land that you have in most other platforms. This is where you pretty much set up your own space. You can build your forges, you can put your timekeeper in there, and then based on that, expand from there. From your space, you start going into the various dungeons, collecting NFTs. It pretty much becomes a hangout for you with all your friends that you're working with. And yeah, that's where it goes. Then you have a timekeeper. Timekeeper is pretty much an entity that you get as you go deeper into the game and level up. This is when you start getting a timekeeper, and the timekeeper pretty much is the entity that can recharge your hourglass. Now, based on the hourglass, how full or how empty it is, that is the amount you can play for that in that timeline or that character. And finally, the more you play, the more tokens you collect, and it could be tokens, armor, NFTs, all of that. And you use those tokens to go into the marketplace and then buy or sell whatever you need based on that. So this is a bit on the economy. I'll just pause here for a second to see if there are any questions that anybody has at this stage. Any questions at all? Okay, in that case, I'll go further. Okay, so we talked about the game dynamics, we talked about the NFTs. Now this is a bit about the rarity. So now we have space and time, which is space is your land, and this is your timekeeper that holds the time, or timelines. Now with the land, you have rare, epic, legendary, mythic, and exalted, and you can have small, medium, and large. So obviously the rares are the least expensive ones, and the smalls are the least expensive ones. Similarly, the exalteds are the most expensive ones, with the largest exalted being probably the most expensive item in the game. So the larger and the more expensive a space you have, the more features that it would already contain, and the more advanced your character would get based on the land you hold. And similarly, this is the timekeeper, which is the entity that will hold all your timelines and recharge your timelines based on which you will be able to advance further in the game. Now, this is an illustration of what a space looks like. So I'm guessing this would be something like an exalted large space. As you can see, there's so much that in the space where you're able to decorate it as you please. You have your players here who are going out for a mission together. You have other players here who are hanging out. This is probably your forge where you're able to build more weapons and armors to use in your fights. And that's what I see when I look at this space, for example. But as you can see, this is quite detailed and complex in itself. It will take some time to get used to, so that you can go further, so that when the game is fully out, you can go deeper and progress faster in the game. Now, so we've talked about the space, we've talked about time. Now, these are the 4 different characters that we have, character classes. You have your time warrior, which is like a barbarian in a Diablo. This is pretty much the guy who goes right into the center, tanky. His fights are very physical, uses axes, heavy armors, and then goes into the fights. It's all about aggression, brute force, and close-up melee damage. The Chronomancer is pretty much your mage or your warlock. His specialization is using magic to cast spells. He's working from a distance, while the barbarian or the time warrior is working in close quarters. The Shadow Blade is pretty much like your rogue or assassin, very fast, does very quick damage, but also is very weak in his gameplay, in his physical abilities. He can do a lot of damage very quickly, but he also gets injured and damaged very quickly himself. And finally, you have your Quantum Fixer, who's pretty much the healer in the game. He can heal, he can shield, he can cast auras that make you stronger, faster, or weaken the opponents, and all of that put together. So these are the 4 different character classes. I absolutely enjoy playing the Time Warrior. Shadow Blade is something I'm just learning, simply because I got a high level timepiece which was of a Shadow Warrior, so I'm trying to level that up. But I absolutely enjoy playing the healer as well, because I love playing a support character. Okay, just to pause for a second again. Okay, just to check, I don't see any questions, etc. coming up. Is everybody able to hear me? Is everybody understanding what I'm saying? Guys? There are about 6 players in the team. So each team can have a maximum of 6 players, and you can go in by yourself as well as a one-off. But that is not very good, because that means you will only have very low-level enemies to fight with. And if you go with a team of 6, you will probably have 20 enemies to fight with of all high-level. But if you're going in alone, you'll probably just have 3 enemies to fight with. And only 3 enemies means you get less level-ups, you get lesser chance of getting NFTs or items. So it's actually best to work with a team of at least 4 to 6 people, and then work together as a team. I hope that answered your questions around the team. Is there a housing system? What do you mean by a housing system? Is this for the items to stash your items, or is this for your teams? Okay. It is compatible with Mac OS. There is a manager, scholar, and system. Yes. Okay. So Nish asked about, will there be a scholarship system at launch? At launch, definitely yes. They didn't give us the details, but they have been very clear in saying that they are doing something that will be very good for guilds. So that's we don't have the details as yet. but we will get to know as the game progresses further. From a scholarship perspective, yes. For example, what we are doing currently is each of us holds, for example, I hold a gold pass. Then there's silver passes coming out, and I hold a couple of silver passes. Nish holds a few silver passes as well. And what we can do is we can distribute this out to some of the scholars who are interested, and they can use the pass to play the game and get better at the game so that they understand the game fully by the time the game is out. Ruby Pass is for free access as well. So there's definitely a scholar and manager system that can be worked out based on the passes, and timepieces are shareable. So for example, I'm collecting a lot of good timepieces at the moment. So when I get a scholar or a silver pass holder to come into the game, I can actually distribute a high level timepiece to them, and they can start using that and leveling that up so that they are already starting with a stronger character from the start. So definitely a good case for a scholarship model. How many scholars do you want to train up during this period? So I would say to start with 5 to 6 and going up to say about 12, simply because it's not about how many characters you have in the game. It's more about how many hours you can spend in the game. So we can probably have one account shared between 2 or 3 scholars, and these scholars are playing about 5 to 6 hours a day each. And that way they are playing about 15, the account is being played about 15 hours a day. And in those 15 hours a day, you can do a lot of leveling up. It's best to level up further than have 100 characters going in and breaking it up over a period of time. Right, I'll come to the gameplay shortly. There was one thing that you asked about. Right. You asked about system requirements. So I'll talk about some of the things, other frequently asked questions. One of the things that gets asked very commonly is big time tokens. Yes, there will be big time tokens, just that they are not available to investors. They're not available for purchase anywhere outside of the game. The tokens will only be dropped inside the game. Guild benefits, that's something I already spoke of, that they haven't been announced yet, but there's something huge coming for guilds. Scholarship benefits, I just explained that to you, but we are still working on the model on how we can do it. And the system requirements. It is a high-end game. I tried it out on multiple systems, but you need dedicated, powerful graphics cards to be able to run the system. So this is the recommended settings for it. Intel Core i5 4430 or an AMD FX 6300 with a graphics card which is at least a GTX 1060 or better, or a Radeon RX 580. You need at least 10 GB of space and an 8 GB RAM. So this is at a high level, the system requirements. Now, another thing that I wanted to share is this character, which is Merlin. As you can see, while in the gameplay, they have not made it character based. There are not specific characters, but all of that is still in the background and they're not announcing any of it. For example, this is a character called Merlin. Clearly, he would be a chronomancer who was your mage or warlock, and you will have similar characters that are coming into the game. And if you can get these character NFTs, for example, they would be very, very expensive when the game comes out. Now, coming into the gameplay, let's see if my character is still alive. Okay, I'm going into the game, so I won't be able to see the chat screen for a while. So I'll probably just show a very small section of the gameplay. As you can see, at this point, the gameplay, the graphics are not so great. It's still pre-alpha, so there's still plenty of work coming. I already have a party ready, so this is pretty much the chat that we have. You can pretty much talk. I already have a party ready, so I can already talk to them, but otherwise you can ask here if you're looking for party, for example. Just a quick check. Is my voice audible when I'm in the game? Yes, account sharing is allowed. I already have 2 people on my account, for example. Yes, I should be able to use the voice while I'm in the game, but I'm not sure if you're able to hear. Okay, so I'll get into the game. Okay, so I'll show you some of the, for example, this is my character in the game. So that's my character in the game. So as you can see, what I have here on the left, this is the timepiece. This is a high level timepiece. So as you can see, that's blue, which tells you it's rare, and tier 6, which is the highest tier of timepiece that is available. Similarly, I have multiple timepieces. This is for a shadow blade, which is tier 5. This is for a chronomancer, which is the magic guy. Shadow Blade, this is the Quantum Fixer, which is the healer, a tier 5. Similarly, this is a tier 0. So tier 0 is what you usually start with. So a tier 0 is what you usually start with. These are the various items that you can have for your character. The different gloves, armor, weapons. As you can see, we managed to find a very high level item here. It's a tier 6 epic, which is probably the second rarest item that you can get in that class. So now that you have seen what the dashboard looks like, so as you can see, the person in the green dot there, that's my teammate. It shows you how far you're from him and where is he. That way you can coordinate and find him better. The only problem at this stage of the game is that you have to run to every distance. So which means it's a bit time taking getting to where you need to get to. And this is the section of the map where you can find a lot of small dungeons that you can do very quickly. That way you can easily farm NFTs very quickly as well. At least that's how it was working till yesterday. This is a teleporter that you can use to go to your friends. And that's what a dungeon looks like. So just check. Yes, you can run dungeons on your own. So just checking back again, are you able to hear me when I'm playing? So this weapon that I'm wearing is an NFT. It's a rare NFT that I can probably sell for about $700-800. So on the right, you can pretty much see what the objective is. We need to kill about five lieutenants, and once that is done, it goes to the next mission. On the top, as you can see, there's a green spot that tells you where the enemy is, where your teammate is, and the red spot tells you where the enemy is. The orange spot tells you where your next objective is. So just a heads up, the person I'm currently playing with, that's Timothy, who is one of the people who is helping me with my accounts. He is already a part of Gen Zero Guild as well, so and he will be helping me train all of you up. So that's an item that's spawned based on the kill, and you can pick it up and use it on your character. Again, this is among the lowest level dungeons in the game. So the idea is to just run through it quickly and collect whatever NFT is in the map. So now that we've cleared most of the level, this takes you to the boss room. So this is a tree which you can use to heal yourself while you're waiting for the bosses, etc. to spawn. If you touch this, you can revive your friends who have died. So that's all the enemies that we need to kill at the end. So again, so that was what a simple looks like. This was a very low level map, simply so that I could show you what it looks like. Yeah, that's pretty much what the games looks like. This was a level 4 to 9, but if you go higher, for example, the best loots available in level 50, 45 to 50, for example. Now that would have taken us at least about 45 minutes to finish. And as you finish it, that's when you get some very high level loot in the game. In this map, it doesn't even matter what loot you get, but if you get lucky, it drops some NFTs, which you can sell for money at the end of it. So yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay of it. Any more questions? No, I think the game was running smooth. Probably broadcasting or over Twitch, I think it was lagging a bit, but I think the game was running smooth at my end. If I die, my teammates. Okay, let me just quickly run through the question. How much time do you need to invest in the game? Okay, I actually like the style of graphics. I used to play Genshin Impact. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll start with the questions. How much time do you need to invest? It completely depends on you how much time you can invest. The more time you invest, the faster you can level up the game, the more chances you have at finding NFTs and other in-game items. So ideally, that's what my strategy is, to find one or two scholars. Currently, I have two people working with me. Both of them are in Gen Zero Guild already. Timothy is one of them, and Jan is the other. And they run it 12 hours per day each, and between them they cover 24 hours per day on the account. So it completely depends on how much time you want to invest. So depending on that, I would probably collect a team which can run one Silver Pass account for at least 12 hours a day. Why does this feel like Dragon Nest but with better graphics? I haven't played Dragon Nest, but yes, graphics are pretty good. But again, these graphics are still testing graphics. What you saw in the video, the graphics will be at that level. So this graphics, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. I think you're lagging. No, it was just the Twitch that was lagging. It started lagging. Okay, this is just like Genshin. Okay, I can see the fighting now. What happens when you die? When you die, you get 60 seconds. Your teammates can revive you and you can start fighting again. But if nobody revives you in 60 seconds, you pretty much have to wait for the map to complete. You won't get level up or items with that. Will the loot drops when you die? No, the loot does not drop when you die. You get to keep it when you restart the level. How long can you play per day? Completely depends on you. Like I said, I have guys playing 12 hours per day on this account. Can you continue playing in the same level after you died? Yes. You don't lose anything if you die. So if we play a team of 6 for Silver Pass, would you want each account running 12 hours? I don't know. Maybe about 12, at minimum 12 hours is what I would be looking at. So if I can get, say, 2 people who can only do 4 hours per day, I'll make a team of 3 people who are running 4 hours a day to run one account. So it looks like I've covered all the questions that were out there. So as you can see, there's somebody who's looking, they've said LFP IC, which means they're looking for a party to do a run in IC. There are 2 types of runs that you can do. One is a speed run in a low level dungeon to get quick NFTs, so that in 1 hour you can do 5 dungeons and collect maybe 1 or 2 NFTs, or you can do a high level dungeon which will take probably 1 full hour to run the whole dungeon, but you get very good items from it. Both the legendary NFTs that I got were from the high level dungeons. I'll show you some of the NFTs that I have. So this is my character. This is all the inventory that I have. This is the timeline which tells you each of the characters that I have built up over time. All the skills that each of the characters have. And this is the NFTs. Now, for example, if I put this sword on, it doesn't matter what weapon you're using in the game, it will look like this. Blue implies it's a rare, The orange that I have, that's a legendary that I'm guessing will be worth at least about 3,000-4,000. This is an epic title. So as you can see right next to my name, there's Indomitable. That's basically this. Now these epic titles are also quite expensive, so they will be going for a good value at some point in time. So these are all the NFTs, some of the NFTs that we get. This is okay. So we had Battle Blade of Sir Pervical here, right? That is pretty much this. So we looked at this, which was basically all the exclusive gold pass items that are here. So this was the Battle Blade of Sir Pervical. So this will only be available in the gold pass. It will not be available once the gold pass finishes. So which means this is going to be a very high value item when the game launches. Who gets the loot if you do a run? Okay. How many people do you need to do a run? You can do a run alone. You can do a run with 2 people. You can do a run with 6 people. But if you're doing it alone, the number of enemies in the map will be very less. Your chances of getting an NFT will be very less. And the experience you gain will be very less. So it is best to always run with a team of 6 people. Is it hard to level up in big time? No, it's not hard to level up in big time. The more time you play, the faster you level up. The more higher level dungeons you run, the faster you level up. Unlimited dungeon runs, yes. You can run as many dungeon runs as you can now. But when the game launches, I think there is a timekeeper who will be having a timepiece. If your sand runs out in the timepiece, you won't be able to play that character anymore. I mean, you can play it once you recharge the timepiece. Does it have potions that do boost statistics? Yes, they do have potions that boost speed, strength, damage, all of that. How many people do you need? I've already covered that. So it's not like Mir 4, if you die, you lose some of your experience. No, you don't lose anything if you die. Who gets the loot if you do a run with the other players? Now, the NFT always stays with you. But the loot you can drop from the main character and another character can take it. So this is where a level of trust is very important, because you can probably give the account to someone and they might find an expensive, not an expensive, a high level gear in game, but they might give it to someone else or just hide it away so that they in a different character and keep it for themselves. So this is where a bit of trust comes in. So I think it's very important to have the right agreements to make sure we play equally and fairly. Right. So Timothy is the other trainer who will be working with us to train each of you up. So hello, Timothy. Each person needs a timepiece or 1 timepiece per team. Timothy, do you want to answer that? Okay, I'm not sure if he's answering that, but okay. So each person has multiple timepieces. Let me show you what that means. Now, this is my timeline. Each of these are timepieces. So you basically need a timepiece to play a character. And you can have multiple characters, and even in the game while you are playing, you can switch from one timepiece to another, when one timepiece is a warrior and the other timepiece is a healer. So if you see that it's a very difficult dungeon and you have been a warrior until now and you don't have enough healing, in the dungeon itself you can change to a healer and start playing that healer. So each person needs to have minimum 1 timepiece, but they can have 100 timepieces if required. Okay. Once the game is launched, do you still have to have the same character from alpha test, or they will retest it? I think when the game is launched, they will reset all of it, but you will get to keep all your NFTs. What do you feel when you're playing the game? It's quite fantastic. At this point, there is no storyline, etc. So it gets a bit boring grinding all of it, but at least the idea is to understand the game to the best at this point, get as many characters, get as many NFTs, and you still have at least 2.5 more months till which you can play the game, right? So till the game comes out, you can still develop so many things. You can understand so many aspects of the game till it comes out. Will this be available on Android and phone soon? No, I think it is only on PC and Mac. It's fun to play and addictive if your character is strong. Yes, I agree. It's actually quite fun to play in many ways, but if you're grinding day and night, 12 hours a day, that might get a bit boring. So while Timothy and Jan are on my account, I request them every day to give me at least 2 hours so that I can play my account and get better at the game myself. I think it'll be available only on PC. Cool. So looks like we've covered all the questions again. Any more questions that we have, or is there any other aspect that you want to know about the game? Do you have a quest or just dungeons for the experience? Until now, because it is in pre-alpha, so we are pretty much testing the game for big time at the moment. So at this point, there is no quest as such. It's purely dungeons. But I'm guessing when the next set of passes come out, or when the game goes live, it will definitely be quest based. It will pretty much become the Diablo for blockchain. Yep, that's the perfect answer, Timothy. Huh. We don't know yet. Dungeons spawn very randomly, so we can't really find them. So you have to keep running around exploring the map to see where the dungeons are coming. There could be hidden dungeons, and when the game goes live, there might be dungeons at some point. But yeah, right. I didn't recognize your ID there. So Jantor29 is the is also one of our trainers. So between Timothy, Jan, and myself, we will be training all of you up for the scholarship model when the silver pass comes out. Right. So I'll take one last question, and after that we can close the game out. I mean, close the session out. Okay, so looks like there's no more questions. I hope this has been a good learning experience for all of you, and I hope you enjoyed the game. Feel free to reach out to us whenever you need to. We're more than happy to help. Yeah, it's been great speaking to all of you. We will be coming up with all those requirements. What we need is A, experience with MMORPG games. B, having a good system with all the requirements, so that you're able to play the game smoothly. Yeah, so those two are the primary requirements. We'll have to work out how many hours each of you can play, because each account I would want it playing at least 8 to 12 hours. So yeah, those are the primary requirements. Awesome. Thanks, Nish. Thank you, everyone. Right, so I won't be talking anymore, but I'll probably go into the game and it'll stream for a bit longer. Feel free to continue watching if you need to, but that's me signing off. Thank you, everyone.
อะไร